Hello, welcome to Shad Life. Gotta have my coffee in the morning. Why the heck do I have this thing out? What am I thinking? It's still summertime. Well, not for long, believe it or not. Let me talk a little bit about this bike and why I have it out right now and why I want to talk about it. So I got this bike last fall, or actually late summer, about a year ago to be exact, and I was super stoked. Carbon, Salsa Mukluk, way lighter. I used to have a Specialized Fat Boy that was aluminum and the geometry was more XC style. This is more progressive, longer frame, shorter stem. It is so rad. I love riding this bike. In the snow even, I just love to shred on it, and so on and so forth. But I have some upgrades that I want to do to it before winter comes, and so that's why I have it out, because the brakes are one of the things that absolutely are terrible on it. I did a video last year of me trying to get these brakes working again. I bought this bike used, and it was used as a commuter, and the person that rode it in the salt on the roads and stuff like that. So there were a lot of rusted components and things like that. It had an NX rear derailleur, NX shifter, and I ended up upgrading that to GX because the derailleur was pretty rusted and pretty seized and stuff like that and didn't want to work right. I rode this last winter, but I didn't commute with it. I only rode it on the trails in the snow, so on and so forth. So yes, it is such a, I don't know how to say it, a much nicer bike than that Specialized Fat Boy I had, which was like a 2015 or something like that. Totally modernized, 12-speed drivetrain, through axles, front and rear, so on and so forth. Let's talk about what I want to update on this bike. So aside from having done the shifter and rear derailleur, I put taller handlebars on it, these Spank spoons, just because I like to be able to pull up the front end more, and the higher rise handlebar just gives me a better position for controlling the bike, so on and so forth. And then I threw my Surly Bud and Lou tires on it. Unfortunately, these are from like 2014. They actually don't get worn out because they're only ridden in the snow. They work really good on softer snow. You run the PSI down to like 3 PSI and you can pretty much plow through anything. I say pretty much because there is a certain snow depth where it starts to be impossible to ride through. And so what I did, because I can't run these tubeless because they're pre-tubeless bead, if you get Bud and Lou tires today, they'll come tubeless compatible, but these aren't. So I ran those Surly light tubes in here, and they do pretty good. They do take away some of that rotational weight that a fat bike has and things like that, so not bad. I also added a dropper post to it right away because it didn't come with a dropper. So I just got it kind of set up for me and how I like things, and so on and so forth. And then the brakes, these needed a bunch of TLC, and you know, I did a video up in this corner. I'll just link that video on what I did on these. I pushed the pistons out, cleaned them, so on and so forth. I accidentally pushed one of the pistons out too far and fluid leaked all over, whatever. But check that video out if you're curious to know how to clean brakes so they work a little bit better. And that temporarily worked, but by the end of the season they just got all mushy and super terrible again. So I believe this here, I'm just not even gonna bother. They're SRAM guides aren't that great to begin with, and so I think I'm going to just replace the brakes entirely. I don't know what I'm gonna put on here yet, but we'll find out. I might even go mechanical. Believe it or not, in the wintertime, mechanical brakes might not be a bad idea. The brakes I had on my airplanes, if you follow my channel, you know airplanes are always an issue. Like, yep, life living underneath the, what do you call it, the flight path to the airport. What was I talking about now? Distress brakes. So I will replace these. I don't know what I'm going to replace them with, but I might go mechanical because I had TRP spikes, I think they were, on my Fat Boy, and I really liked them. They worked really well. And believe it or not, on a fat bike in the snow, you don't need really good brakes. Like putting like the Shimano XT brakes like I have on my Rustler on here would be way overkill, because in the snow all you're gonna do with brakes like that is lock up your tires all the time, and you don't want that in the snow. You want more modulation and not instant hard braking. So I might go mechanical, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that, or I'll just get a different set of hydraulic brakes. I have no idea yet, but when I do that I will definitely let you know. But that's the primary thing that I want to swap out. I'm actually thinking maybe some different handlebars, because as much as I like these bars and the shape of them and everything, Spanx spoons are really heavy. They're thick and they're heavy. These are like twice as heavy than most other handlebars. So I might get a new stem, go a 35 clamp, and then get some bars. I don't know yet. I probably have some laying around even that I could just swap out, but I did want the higher rise, so I'm not going to go any lower rise, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much what I want to change out. And there's one more thing I do want to do, and it's going to be expensive. The seasons have been very challenging lately. In the wintertime, I don't know if it's climate change or what it is, but we get these warm spells quite often, and then it gets really cold, and it's just way more up and down than it used to be in the wintertime. It's actually one of the reasons why I do not cross-country ski anymore, because it's so rare that you get good cross-country ski conditions. And sure, there's some places that make snow around here, but I always feel like that made snow is like, gets icy right away, and it gets really sketchy skiing and stuff. And especially at my age, I don't want to wreck myself cross-country skiing, and so I gave up on that, and I've been going pure fat bike. But now what's happening is that same kind of condition where it warms up, then freeze-thaw cycles, right? You end up with a lot of icy trails, and I really don't like studs, but I do believe I'm going to give in this year and get some studded wheels and tires. And the idea is I want to keep these set up, right? And then I'll just get another set of wheels and tires with studs on them, so then I can just swap back and forth. So if we do get really good, you know, powdery snow conditions and whatever, and it's not icy underneath, then I can ride what I really like riding, which is this setup. And then if we get those conditions where it's icy underneath, or there's hardly any snow, it's just icy trails and stuff like that, I'll just run the studded wheels. I'm actually thinking for the studded wheels I'll go 27.5 by 4.0, because they will fit on here, because I feel like in those conditions where it's icy, we don't have that super powdery snow, so you don't need the huge high volume tires, and those 4.0 tires will roll better and stuff. So I think I'm gonna go that route. It's probably gonna cost me like $1,200, $1,300 wheels, tires, and then I'll go tubeless, hoping that tubeless will offset the weight of the studs and so on and so forth. So that is my plan. I do want to get an extra wheel set so I can run studs, and I'll ride more this winter if I do that. Last winter there were just some times I didn't ride because it was too icy and I didn't want to put studs on. So I'm gonna stop being stubborn. I'm gonna give in so I can ride more and run studs. I also do Zwift in the winter time. I do that quite a bit. When it's really cold out, I just, you know, when I was younger I used to bear the cold. As I gotten older, it's tougher for me to get out in those, like, you know, I'll ride when it's like 15 degrees and up, maybe even a little lower than that. But once it starts getting into the single digits and certainly below 0, I generally just stay indoors, rides the Zwift trainer and things like that, just to keep my fitness level up and stuff. But I will try to do a lot more fat biking and a lot more fat biking videos this winter. And then I'll be doing some, you know, hopefully Skaterapolis is still around. I don't know. It's a skate park inside of a mall. I never know how long a business like that's going to survive, but if it is, I'll do some BMX in there and probably some skateboarding now too, that I got a skateboard, and so on and so forth. So winter will be full of a lot of cool stuff, and that's usually when I do a lot of more like how to like fix certain things and do mechanical stuff, and I probably continue talking about bike geometry. I like to talk about that and try to explain it in a way that helps you understand geometry, because geometry is one of those things that somebody can talk all about angles and numbers and blah blah blah. I recently did a video on front center, and it seems like people really liked that video because until you can try to describe exactly what does this particular geometry measurement do for you, the geometry numbers mean nothing, right? So that's what my plans are for the winter. So if you're interested in this kind of content, please like and subscribe. I really do appreciate your support for my channel. Peace.